Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love the fact that your organisations both work so significantly in the area of poverty, and that Stewart, CAP is very much a UK-focused charity, and Tearfund is known for its international work around the world. But what would you both say are the key drivers of poverty in the worlds that you work in? Yeah, Anna.
I think at Tearfund we would say there are, the root causes we would say are broken relationships. So I think we've heard a lot today about relationships. We would say that we are fundamentally broken in terms of our relationship, first of all, with God. We don't see ourselves as made by God and in his image anymore. Our relationship with each other, our relationship with the environment in which we're living, and even the relationship within ourselves. We don't know who we are and why we're here anymore. And that is the root cause of poverty. And then we see that played out at national and international level by broken systems and structures which entrench and keep people in poverty.
Thank you. And Stewart?
I'd agree with all of that. But taking it down to sort of a slightly more practical level in the UK, I quite like the drivers that the Centre for Social Justice defined.
Oh, yes.
Your old shop.
Sorry, I co-founded the CSJ.
So family breakdown,
Yeah.
Educational failure, worklessness, addiction, and debt and housing. I think I've got that right. But the issue at the moment is that we've poured a number of accelerants on that.
Yeah.
You look at the inflation over the cost of living crisis. If you look at the increasing weight of chronic illness, both mental and physical, in society, and the fact that worklessness and low-paid insecure work are becoming structural. It's not the cyclical thing it was back when I were a lad. And I think if I could add just 2 points, it's also an interesting point in terms of scale. And just to put that into perspective, if you were a representative sample, 1 in 2 of you would have a financial crisis at some point in your life. 1 in 3 of you would be losing sleep about your finances today. 1 in 4 of you, if you have kids, would have crisis levels of debt. And 1 in 5 of you wouldn't be able to afford life's essentials, so to be definitively in poverty. And so there's also a question not of what is driving poverty now, it's what is poverty driving. It is changing our politics, it is changing our economics, and it is changing our society. And if I'm allowed one positive, it's also driving an openness to the gospel that we haven't seen for some time. Yeah. People are looking for truth and hope like they've never looked for it before.
So you've taken your understanding of the drivers and the challenges we're facing. What would be your approach to bringing about change? What would be your kind of theory of change, to use that sort of language?
For Tearfund, I think we would say you've got to address those relationships. And I think all that you've mentioned just there, I see played out at international level as well in different ways, and they all have at their root broken relationships. We would say you've got to address that. You've got to address the fact that people feel helpless. They think they have to sit there and wait for other people to do things because they have no agency. They've lost confidence in who they've been made to be. So we've got to address that. And as Tearfund, we have a program called Transforming Communities. We believe that we believe God works through the local church. That's his vessel for transformation. And we have a program which is a Bible-based program. We take a church, we invite them to engage in a series of Bible studies which looks at who is God, who did he create you to be, how did he create you to live with others, how did he create you to live in this world in which you are based, and how did he create you to be with him. And at some point in that, we see people's mindset change and they suddenly realize, I can do something about this. I'm not waiting here for other people. I have agency. There's a wonderful quote from somebody in Sierra Leone. He said, I used to think I was poor, but now I realize I'm rich and honorably made, and all the doors are open.
Can
And we
I push
see
you on
that
that?
played out.
Yeah, you and I spoke about this earlier, and I loved that. But I could see some people maybe in the audience going, "But like, isn't poverty about money?" So like, talk me through that restoration of agency and what impact that has on people.
I can talk about an individual person called Lydia, who lives in Burundi. She still is actually, illiterate. She used to feel so ashamed about who she was that she hid herself away in the back of her yard. Some people in her community from her church who'd gone through this program and invited her to join a self-help group which puts together money, and they lend out money to members of their group. She borrowed some money from that. She bought a couple of avocados, sold them at 50% profit, went back, bought some more, sold them at 50%, went and bought tomatoes. She gradually built up her business till she was in a position to be able to buy half a field, then a eucalyptus plantation, to build her own house and to send her own children to school. That's one individual, and we see that played out over and over. And at community level, the church goes out and says, what are the problems which we've got? And what has God put in our hands that we can use to address the problems that we're facing? So again, in Burundi, I went to a village where the people said, what's our biggest problem? It's a health center. We don't have a health center near us. What can we do about it? We have nothing. We can build bricks. We have mud. They built bricks. They built enough to build a health center. They built a health center. They went to the government. They said, we built a health center. Could you please now fill it with staff? And the government said, what do you mean you built a health center? They said, well, come and see. And the government came. They said, oh my goodness, you built a health center. Yeah, we'll fill it with staff. They sent nurses there. The community then said, we need a road to get here. They built with their own hands 5 kilometers of road to reach them to the nearest tarred road. They themselves found the money from their own small businesses and managed to get together enough money to buy water pipes, and they themselves laid water pipes 26 kilometers to the place where they could source water to bring it to their village. They built a school, and again, the government sent teachers. That community is utterly transformed, and every individual within it. I spoke to a man from within it who was from the Catholic Church. He said, we used to be sitting here just waiting for the Italians to come and help us. And now we realize we don't have to wait. We can do what we want to do.
Yeah.
It is extraordinary, this mindset change which lasts forever. Our research, we go back after years, and this is still continuing. It is extraordinary. One last thing.
And then I want to bring in Stewart.
And then I'll let you speak. My background's in international development. I have never seen the impact that we see through this, because this is God at work through the local church.
Fantastic. You were different, weren't you? Yeah. And Stewart, we've just heard a brilliant illustration of agency in action. If you take those 5 pathways: family breakdown, failed education, addiction, debt, and worklessness, how do you see the pathway of reversing those through the work of CAP?
Yeah, well, it's sort of taking it from the agency model. I mean, you've got to start where you start. So if I look at our clients, they're lost sheep at the very gates of hell. And so John 10, which is up there, is the operating system we're using, which is that Jesus came so that we may have life and have it to the full. And just to describe that life, 52% of them are so isolated they're frightened to leave the door. 85% frightened to answer the door. And they're so anxious that 49% of them are considering taking their own lives as a solution to their debt. And so essentially, the debt and everything else and the poverty is like a rock crushing someone. And essentially, our approach is to take that rock off so that the church can wrap around that person. So then there are no simple solutions to complex problems. And so all of those issues then start to interrelate, because you can't have agency while you're crushed. And the whole point is to take that person to the very gates of heaven, by pulling them out of isolation into community, and that's where the church really is powerful in all of those factors, because the church is a source of friends, but it's also a source of the family you don't have, the brothers you don't have, the fathers you don't have, the grandfathers you don't have. It's a place where things that you lack so much of, you can move forward. So essentially that starts to deal with the family breakdown. Now, once your confidence builds, you can start to do volunteer work and you can move people into work. And all of those factors are something that the church is on the move to. And just to give you a sense of scale of the church, 95% of churches have a social action program now. 67% have some sort of food bank or pantry. 30% now have the sort of work we're doing. That is an army on a move. If I think of just CAP, and we've just come together with another charity called CMA, we have 5,000 people in the mission field every day doing this work, and they see signs, wonders, healing and miracles, because it's not about the money. You talk to our clients 2 years later, they're not talking to you about money. They're saying, I have community, my life is restored. And to your point, it was all about the broken relationships and the agency all along. But the money was just the rock that the enemy had put on top of them to crush them.
Well, our time together always goes so quickly. And part of the reason why we want to invite you up on this stage is we want people in the room to be able to come and find you. So if you want to talk to these guys about the work of Tearfund or the work of CAP or the work of UK poverty and the work of international poverty alleviance as well, then these are great people to come and speak with. Stewart, Anna, thank you so much. Thank you.